Welcome to Zodiac Talks Tarot, the place where astrology stops being a parlor trick and starts sounding like a psychology seminar run by a philosopher who's had just enough coffee to tell the truth. Here, we treat the zodiac not as a superstition but as a living language, a map of temperament, behavior, and destiny that still knows how to laugh at itself. If you're new here, get comfortable. If you've been around for a while, you already know I'm less interested in prediction than participation. We don't come here to be told what's going to happen, we come here to remember that we have agency in what happens next. Today, we turn the cosmic spotlight toward Aries, the first fire sign, the divine spark that begins the whole astrological story. November 2025 is not just another page in your calendar, it's the beginning of a new chapter where cause finally catches up to courage. This month's reading isn't merely symbolic, it's kinetic. The energy around you doesn't whisper, it hums, urging you to move, create, and take your rightful space in the world. Some months are for reflection, this one is for ignition. Now, let's talk about the main character in your celestial drama, the Magician. Forget the image of the guy pulling rabbits out of hats. The true magician is the first engineer of reality, the thinker whose focus turns thought into matter. It's the archetype of conscious creation, and it's your keynote energy for November. The universe is placing tools in your hands: intellect, intention, intuition, and will. What you build with them is entirely up to you. You may not have everything you think you need, but you have everything that actually matters. If you lack a resource, you can learn it. If it doesn't exist, you can invent it. Aries, that's your cosmic homework. The irony, of course, is that your natural enthusiasm can sometimes turn into your own obstacle course. You're famous for starting 10 races and finishing 2, and that's part of your charm. Aries is ruled by Mars, not by the project management department. But November demands something different. This month, focus is not your limitation, it's your superpower. Imagine your attention like sunlight through a magnifying glass. Scatter it and you get a tan. Concentrate it and you make fire. Every ounce of your progress in the year of triumph 2025 depends on that precision. Pick one goal, the one that tugs at your bones, and give it your full flame. As someone who has studied Aries behavior for decades, I'll tell you what usually gets you in trouble. It's not laziness, it's glorified distraction. You love challenge so much that boredom feels like an existential crisis. The moment things get predictable, you manufacture a side quest. This November, watch for temptations that wear the disguise of productivity. A quick project that somehow eats your week, a new social circle that feels like networking but drains your energy, or a late-night debate that keeps you up defending your brilliance to strangers online. None of these things are evil, but they are expensive in the currency of focus. The Magician's mantra this month is, "Not everything that glitters deserves my attention." Here's a trick I often share with my Aries clients: choose a 3-word phrase that acts as your compass for the month. Something short enough to remember but strong enough to steer you. Finish, don't start. Depth before speed. Create, then rest. Every time an invitation appears, hold it up to your phrase. If it doesn't align, it's a polite no. You don't owe anyone an explanation, your energy is sacred infrastructure. Philosophically speaking, the Magician represents the meeting point between the inner world and the outer world, what Buddhists would call the middle way between desire and discipline. The mind imagines, the body acts, and the heart keeps the rhythm. This is karma in motion. Every choice now shapes the architecture of your future. So when you find yourself hesitating, remember that courage always comes before confidence. Confidence is evidence that you've already survived what you feared. Courage is choosing to begin before that evidence exists. Aries, you were built for beginnings, so stop waiting to feel ready. Readiness is the world's most overrated illusion. Of course, we can't forget humor, it's the pressure valve of the soul. Aries, if anyone accuses you of moving too fast, remind them that history's greatest inventions didn't come from people waiting their turn. You're not reckless, you're allergic to inertia. Just make sure your speed has direction. You don't want to be the fastest hamster on the wheel. Mars wants movement, yes, but this month he demands mastery. It's time to trade impulsive bursts for deliberate strides. The universe has cleared the traffic, all lights are green, but you're still the one behind the wheel. So welcome, my fiery friends, to a November that feels less like prediction and more like permission. Permission to be decisive, creative, and unapologetically alive. Here on Zodiac Talks Tarot, we don't romanticize fate, we collaborate with it. Today's message for Aries is simple: your magic isn't something to wait for, it's something to use. You are both the spell and the spellcaster, both the architect and the raw material. The cosmos doesn't just choose favorites, it chooses participants. And this month, Aries, it's your turn to raise your hand and say, I'm in. Now take a deep breath, roll your shoulders, and step into November with that signature Aries confidence, the kind that looks suspiciously like divine mischief. Because if prophecy is real, it isn't written in the stars. It's written in the way you move when the stars call your name. Courage first, confidence after. It sounds almost backward to an Aries, doesn't it? After all, this is the sign that bursts through locked doors just to check if they were really locked. But here's the mature truth, the one that comes after a few decades of watching the stars spin and humans repeat the same patterns beneath them. Courage always comes first, because confidence is simply courage that survived. Confidence is a memory, not a mood, it's the evidence your body stores after action has proven safe. Every leap you've ever taken, every risk that didn't kill you, gets archived in the nervous system as self-trust. That's why confidence can't be summoned on command, it's built like a muscle, one brave repetition at a time. November 2025 is asking you to move before you feel ready, to step forward even when your voice trembles. It's not reckless. It's alignment. In the language of Buddhist psychology, this is right effort, acting with sincerity and consistency along the path you've chosen, not because it's easy, but because it's coherent with the person you're becoming. Courage is what bridges who you were and who you're meant to be. This month, the universe hands you a paradox so perfect it could only belong to Aries: fast movement with mature restraint. Imagine a race car built for speed but disciplined by engineering. You can move quickly, but only if your internal bolts are tight. That means boundaries. Non-negotiable time blocks. One meaningful accomplishment per day instead of a dozen half-baked projects that clutter your energy. It means treating your body not as a tool to drag behind your ambition but as a sacred vehicle, hydrated, stretched, oxygenated. You can't build empires on dehydration and 5 hours of sleep. Humor me with this practical advice: stretch. Your fire element is surging, and while that's great for productivity, it's absolutely tragic for your hamstrings. The goal isn't to slow down but to stay intact for the long game. Now, across your chart, your cosmic counterpart Libra steps in as your counterweight. If Aries is the strike of the match, Libra is the hand that shields it from the wind. Balance, as Libra defines it, isn't about giving equal time to every task, it's about applying foresight to every consequence. This is the adult version of your fire, the one that asks, what kind of victory am I sprinting toward, and does it even matter to me? The universe favors the Aries who has evolved from reaction to discernment. Practically speaking, this looks like 3 forms of wisdom. First, decision hygiene. When doubt creeps in, list the best, worst, and most realistic outcomes of your choice. If the realistic one still advances your main goal, proceed without guilt. Second, boundaries with grace. Decline opportunities quickly and kindly without writing an emotional novel in your defense. I'm focused on this project right now is a complete sentence. Third, karmic awareness. Remember that every action is a seed, and November's soil is unusually fertile. Water only what you want to see bloom. That one reckless comment, that one impulsive expenditure, that one delayed apology each is a seed with roots. Choose them carefully. This Libra current also brings justice into your orbit. If you've been waiting for a verdict, a contract, or an overdue professional resolution, expect progress that mirrors your past integrity. The universe doesn't reward perfection, but it does pay out on honesty. Keep your records clean, your words clear, and your dealings transparent. In a month like this, clarity is your best attorney. And where is all this fire and fairness leading you? To the Empress, the card of abundance, comfort, and creation. Not the fantasy of some external benefactor who rescues you from hard work, but the realization that the good life is a lifestyle you practice daily, not a prize you win. The Empress isn't waiting at the end of your journey, she's setting the table along the way. Picture her energy as sunlight streaming through the windows of a home you've built with intention, rooms filled with warmth, relationships rooted in safety, food that nourishes rather than numbs, money that feels earned and ethical, creative projects that grow like healthy plants in a tended garden. None of this arrives by accident, it grows through practice. This month, speed up your progress by living a small piece of your dream now. Want financial ease? Automate a tiny weekly savings transfer or negotiate one overdue bill. That's a victory. Want creative flow? Sit in the same chair at the same hour every day for 15 minutes, whether inspiration visits or not. Inspiration is unreliable, ritual is not. Want stronger love? Offer 1 hour of undistracted presence each week. No phone, no multitasking, just listening like it's your chosen profession. These small acts aren't decorative, they're the very structure of abundance. A Buddhist teacher once said that peace is not a destination, it's a posture you return to all day long. The Empress would agree. Peace is not what you find once you've earned enough or loved enough, it's what you embody while earning and loving. That's why this year of triumph 2025 is not a chapter that suddenly opens in December, it's the cumulative effect of the micro choices you make right now. Triumph doesn't explode into being, it unfolds quietly every time you choose discipline over drama, nourishment over numbness, authenticity over applause. So, Aries, as your race car hums at the starting line of November, remember this: courage first, confidence after. Move before you feel ready. Trust the structure you've built, the lessons you've earned, and the vision you're cultivating. The stars don't reward hesitation, they reward momentum that's mindful. You don't have to sprint without rest, you just have to move with intention. The cosmic weather favors those who understand that bravery isn't the absence of fear, but the decision that something else matters more. Keep your eyes forward, your breath steady, and your focus sharp. The road ahead isn't asking for perfection, it's asking for participation. And when in doubt, stretch. Both your body and your patience will thank you. The Chariot is one of those cards that doesn't whisper, it rumbles. It announces itself like a distant storm that turns out to be your own heartbeat. As November closes, Aries, you are sitting in the driver's seat of your life, engine humming, destination pulsing somewhere between ambition and peace. The Chariot isn't about speed for the sake of motion, it's about direction infused with devotion. It's the sacred reminder that power without purpose is just noise. You don't need to white-knuckle the wheel. A good driver, like a wise human, holds two visions at once: eyes on the far horizon while keeping steady attention on the lane directly ahead. Translate that into life terms: hold your grand, shimmering vision close, perhaps a single sentence pinned where you can't avoid it, but pair it with one immediate action each day that builds toward that horizon. It might be sending an email, making a phone call, practicing a skill, or simply drinking the water you said you'd drink. One small task executed with presence outruns 100 ungrounded intentions. The Chariot is protective by design. It doesn't just move, it guards what matters: your family, your home, your progress, your sanity. If you've felt scattered or rootless lately, this is your celestial cue to reclaim your ground. You may feel an urge to rearrange your space, tighten your tribe, or build boundaries around what keeps you stable. For some Aries, that could mean literal movement, traveling, relocating, creating a dedicated studio. For others, it's symbolic steering away from the conversations or environments that keep circling the same stale loop. Either way, your vehicle is fueled and the map is calling. Plot your route and remember that control doesn't mean rigidity, it means confidence in your navigation. Now, why does this reading feel almost prophetic? Because November plugs fire into Earth, creating what I like to call the manifestation circuit. Fire represents your inspiration, willpower, and wild courage. Earth represents your discipline, structure, and tangible results. When these elements meet, dreams stop living in journals and start living on spreadsheets, bank accounts, and schedules. You close the circuit every single day. Step 1. Ignite the fire. Choose one target and feel truly excited about it, even if only for 60 seconds. Step 2. Ground it. Take one physical step that leaves a trace. Send the proposal, register the domain, pack the gym bag, cook the healthy meal. Step 3. Protect it. Record your progress, however small, and celebrate it with quiet pride. This, my dear Aries, is not fantasy but spiritual engineering, the art and science of creation that ancient mystics hinted at and modern productivity gurus keep rediscovering. Manifestation isn't wishing under moonlight, it's disciplined devotion under daylight. Inside your psyche, though, two internal voices will start debating at the conference table of your mind. The first is the Princess of Wands, your creative experimenter. She's curious, impulsive, restless, the part of you that learns by doing, breaking, adjusting, and laughing through the mess. The second is the Queen of Swords, your strategist with impeccable taste in boundaries. She values logic, order, and efficiency. Together, they make a surprisingly good team if you let them. A balanced Aries this month will be both playful and precise. Begin each day with one structured block dedicated to focus. That's the Queen of Swords at the wheel. Then, reward yourself with a curiosity block, time for the Princess of Wands to explore within the same direction. If your focus is health, do your programmed workout first, then let yourself experiment with a new movement practice. If it's business, handle the necessary outreach first, then test a creative twist. The trick is to play inside your purpose. Be mindful, though, of the shadow side of detachment. Too much logic can sterilize joy. I've seen countless Aries mistake stoicism for strength, turning victory into mere data. Don't do that. When progress happens, whether it's a signed contract, a compliment from your boss, or simply finishing what you start, pause long enough to feel it. Let yourself smile, cry, or shout into the void. Joy is not a distraction, it's feedback from the soul that says, yes, keep going. And because life enjoys a plot twist, the Seven of Wands shows up as the counterpoint to your chariot. It reminds you that progress rarely comes without resistance. Expect moments when you feel outnumbered by critics, competitors, algorithms, or your own doubts. These are not signs of failure, they are mile markers of importance. If something provokes resistance, it means it matters. This card asks for an upright spine and steady breath. Defend your lane, not through endless justification but through consistent showing up. You don't need to stage a TED Talk about why you're doing what you're doing. Just keep doing it. After years of working with Aries entrepreneurs and artists, I've noticed that their biggest leaks aren't sabotage from others but micro-apologies from themselves. Those tiny phrases that chip away at authority, sorry this is late, sorry for asking, sorry I want more. For 1 month, try banning the word sorry unless you've truly harmed someone. Replace it with thank you for your patience, here's what I propose, or this matters to me. You'll be amazed at how quickly your spine seems to lengthen and your presence deepens. Confidence isn't a tone of voice, it's the absence of apology for existing in your full dimensions. In this final stretch of the year, your mission is simple but not easy. Drive with both vision and awareness. The horizon is your dream, but the road is your daily action. The Chariot asks you to combine your bold fire with steady earth, to let imagination marry structure. Let the Princess of Wands keep your heart curious, let the Queen of Swords guard your time, and let the Seven of Wands remind you that being underestimated is often your greatest advantage. There will be traffic. There will be detours. But you're no longer a passenger in someone else's car, you're the driver, the mechanic, and the map maker. And if you ever doubt your direction, look up, the same stars that guided the ancient travelers are still shining for you. They just expect you to keep your hands on the wheel and your eyes both near and far open. There are months when the cosmos speaks softly, and then there are months when it practically shouts through the walls of your consciousness. November is the latter, and for Aries, it comes with what I call a double magician signature, an energetic doubling of creation power. Think of it as the universe giving you a 220-volt circuit where most people are running on a 110. It's thrilling, yes, but also a bit dangerous if you're careless with the wiring. Your thoughts, words, and actions are more conductive than usual, meaning everything you say, think, or decide has a higher probability of becoming real. This is manifestation on steroids, but with that power comes accountability. The same focus that can turn your ideas into breakthroughs can also turn impulsive words into long detours. So, rule number 1 this month, speak as if the air itself were a 3D printer. If you don't want it built, don't narrate it. Repetition is manifestation's favorite vehicle. Gossip and worry are simply unintentional spells. Rule number 2, get specific. Use names, dates, and numbers. The magician doesn't chant someday, he names the day. Vague goals are like trying to hit a moving target blindfolded. Precision, this month, is sacred. Specificity isn't boring, it's spiritual architecture. This, incidentally, is where the chosen one's theme earns its place. Being chosen isn't a cosmic award, it's a job description. You're not chosen above others, you're chosen for something that only you can do in your exact tone, timing, and temperament. The Year of Triumph 2025 isn't a golden trophy waiting for you at the end of the road, it's the standard you're already being measured by. Triumph, in truth, isn't fireworks, it's consistent service performed at a high level. You become triumphant by showing up, not by showing off. In love and relationships, that electric current of the double magician flows straight into your interactions. For singles, this is magnetic territory, your charisma is in overdrive, and your aura is practically neon. Fire attracts fire, but before you dive into the flames, remember that sparks don't always mean warmth. You'll attract bright, quick connections this month, but sustainability is built when excitement meets substance. Ask yourself not just who fascinates you but who steadies you. Here's a playful rule of thumb: if someone pressures you to neglect your main goal within the first week, that's not chemistry, that's a red flag with perfume. Stay curious, not committed. Ask about shared values, about how they recover from failure, about how they handle being told no. You'll learn more from their pauses than from their charm. For those in relationships, your speed might overwhelm your partner's nervous system. Aries often forgets that their normal pace feels like a sprint to others. Transparency becomes your love language this month. Communicate early: I'm sprinting on this project right now, but here's how I'll keep us connected. Create a weekly anchor, something tangible and tech-free. A shared meal, a quiet walk, a night with no screens where you actually look at each other instead of your devices. If conflict arises, borrow from Buddhist right speech: be true, be timely, be gentle, be beneficial. You can be direct without being sharp. You're not wielding a sword, you're steering a chariot. Among friends and family, you're the locomotive pulling the train. Your energy sets the pace, but leadership doesn't mean dragging. Pull, don't push. Invite others into your movement by giving them defined roles. Ask a friend to hold you accountable to a deadline or to proof something you're creating. People like to help when the request is clear and finite. It honors both your initiative and their autonomy. Career-wise, this is not a planning month, it's an execution month. If you sell, sell. If you coach, coach. If you create, publish. The magician is a craftsman, not a theorist, and progress now depends on shipping what you've already been building. 2 tactics will keep you efficient and grounded. First, reverse engineer the Empress. Picture your ideal workday 6 months from now, the balance of income, hours, and creative freedom you want, and trace backward to identify the one decision this month that gets you closest. Make that decision by mid-November. Second, work in 7-day sprints. Pick one measurable goal you can actually move in a week: sales calls, written pages, miles run, meals prepped. Announce it somewhere on paper, to a friend, and review it honestly when the week ends. Then tweak and repeat. It's not glamorous, but it's miraculous in compound effect. Financially, the tide looks steady and even generous for those who've acted with integrity. If long-awaited paperwork or payments arrive, read everything twice before celebrating once. Relief should come with structure. Set limits, automate savings, and resist the instinct to upgrade every comfort at once. The universe rewards responsibility with more responsibility, not with a shopping spree. Health-wise, your challenge isn't motivation, it's moderation. Consistency beats heroics. Think athlete, not daredevil. Your fire element is strong, but even fire needs containment to stay useful. Aim for 3 solid movement sessions per week and daily mobility. Fuel wisely: more protein early, water always, and screens off before bed. For the mind, simplicity wins. 5 minutes of breath before your day begins will regulate more cortisol than an hour of anxious scrolling. If full meditation feels impossible, count 12 slow exhalations. That's all. If your body has been whispering through recurring aches or fatigue, don't wait until it shouts. A quick checkup now is cheaper than a forced timeout later. Remember, strength is glamorous, but maintenance is freedom. So, Aries, the double magician month is both a blessing and a test. You are your own spell now. Every word you utter, every plan you commit to, every act of discipline or distraction becomes amplified. Use it wisely. Be deliberate. Laugh when you can. Humor is the most underrated spiritual practice. When the universe gives you a live wire, grounding becomes an art. Courage, clarity, and a touch of restraint will carry you through. You're not manifesting a miracle, you are the miracle that manifests. Aries doesn't need a monastery to feel spiritual, you just need a bit of structure that keeps your fire from burning out of rhythm. You are, after all, the cosmic spark, the sign that begins things, that wakes up life itself. Still, even fire benefits from a hearth. The truth is that spirituality for a fiery soul like yours isn't about retreating into silence but about engaging the day with intention. Try starting your mornings with a sentence that sounds deceptively simple: today I move one step closer to X. Replace X with whatever dream refuses to leave you alone. Then, touch the tools of your craft, your keyboard, your shoes, your guitar, your steering wheel as if they were relics from a temple. The Buddha once said that enlightenment can be found in the very act of sweeping a floor. For Aries, it can be found in the strike of a match, the click of a pen, the first email sent. What matters is awareness. In the evening, before you collapse into sleep, recall 3 promises you kept to yourself. They don't need to be heroic. Perhaps you drank the water you meant to, sent that message, or resisted the urge to scroll endlessly. And if you broke a promise, don't spiral, just shrink it and try again tomorrow. Mercy, not perfection, keeps momentum alive. Karma, as seen through a psychological lens, is simply cause and effect inside your calendar. Each action plants a seed. Make choices your future self won't merely tolerate but will thank you for. Of course, no Aries sermon would be complete without humor. It's the only medicine strong enough to keep you from combusting. If patience were an Olympic sport, you'd be coaching the sprinters and asking when the medal ceremony starts. That's fine, just build sprints into your life so you don't end up sprinting through your life. When you say, "I'll just check my phone for a second," set an actual timer. Without one, a second in Aries time becomes a quantum mystery science hasn't yet solved. And consider this experiment in mindfulness. Start a swear jar, not for cursing but for apologizing when no apology is needed. Every time you say sorry for taking up space, drop $1 in. By the end of the month, use that money to buy yourself something symbolic: better running shoes, a new notebook, or a fountain pen that feels as serious as the story you're writing with your life. Because make no mistake, you are writing something worth reading. Now, let's talk strategy, the kind you can tape to your fridge and actually live by. Step 1. Name the one goal that matters most and write it where you can't avoid it. Step 2. Carve out a daily block for it, non-negotiable, 30 to 90 minutes. Step 3. Protect your perimeter. Silence your phone, set boundary scripts, and give yourself the gift of focus. Step 4. Act before you feel ready. Courage first, confidence later. That's your magic formula. Step 5. Log the win. Track it somewhere, even if it's just a streak of X's on a wall calendar. Step 6. Recover intentionally. Rest isn't weakness, it's maintenance for greatness. Sleep, stretch, drink water, get sunlight, take your magnesium. Step 7. Review weekly. Ask what worked, what lagged, and what to tweak. Step 8. Celebrate wisely. Reward yourself with something that aligns with your long-term vision, not with distractions that steal tomorrow's energy. Triumph, as I've learned after decades of studying human patterns and the psychology of success, is usually built on boring repetition. But the results, those are dazzling. There's a lot of chatter online these days about the chosen ones. Let's clarify that before the internet gives you a god complex. You're not chosen above others, you're chosen when you choose. Destiny isn't a VIP invitation, it's RSVP only. You become the exception when you practice the exception. The so-called mantle isn't some invisible cloak of superiority, it's a daily posture of integrity, compassion, and grit. The year of triumph 2025 won't crown anyone who hasn't first shown up for themselves in the small, unglamorous moments. Keeping promises to yourself when nobody is watching, that's the work that turns potential into legacy. Serving others at a standard that makes you proud to sign your name, that's what earns the word triumph. And yes, it feels heavy sometimes. Good. Responsibility has weight, and weight builds strength. You, Aries, were born with the spine to carry it. So here's the final word, the kind you should probably read twice. November 2025 isn't just another calendar month, it's the pivot point of your personal myth. You are the magician with a blueprint, not a toy wand. Life is asking you to sprint with boundaries, to love with presence, to work with craftsmanship, and to rest with the wisdom of someone who plans to be here a while. That prophecy feeling around your reading isn't some external fate waiting to crash through your door, it's your own potential tapping from the inside, asking for expression. The road is ready, the signal is green, but the courage has to come from you. Be brave first, confidence will catch up. Each day, take one deliberate step toward the life that feels like the Empress's garden, organized enough to feel peaceful, wild enough to feel alive. When the year ends and you look back, I want you to be able to say, that was the month the plot turned because I finally did. And as you set off, don't forget to enjoy the view. Life isn't meant to be a checklist, it's meant to be experienced. Laugh often, take risks that stretch your soul, forgive yourself as easily as you forgive others, and remember that joy is part of discipline too. If this message speaks to you, support this space that helps you remember who you are and who you can become. Like the video, share it with someone who needs a little cosmic nudge, and subscribe to Zodiac Talks Tarot for more readings that mix psychology, astrology, and a little spiritual mischief. Your story is still being written, Aries. Let's make the next chapter your masterpiece.